AnunnaMelody Podcast, episode 2. And I don't know where this podcast is going. I know that's a weird place to begin episode 2. I don't, but I'm going with the flow. One thing I know how to do is go with the flow. I can wing a situation pretty good. So what I'm doing here is winging it. And so if you want to be down with this, it's going to be a spiritual based podcast where I'm just going to talk about a lot of spiritual things, but also other things. It's going to be about going with the flow, letting it flow. So, AnunnaMelody Podcast, episode 2. The first segment is Let It Flow, where in this segment, I'm going to be talking about just whatever pops into my mind. Sometimes I might have stuff written down, but I will not be reading from a script. I just want to let things flow intuitively, letting it flow. So in these Let It Flow segments, maybe some collective messages will come through. Sometimes maybe it will be some type of channeling. Sometimes maybe we're just going to be talking about shit that might be in I don't know, the news, or just recent things, or spiritual topics, or paranormal stuff, or dreams, or whatever the case may be, whatever we get into. So today I wanted to talk about how it's okay if you are on a spiritual journey and you've been on a spiritual awakening journey for some time. Maybe you would consider yourself not a beginner in the topic. And I would be under that. I'm not a beginner in this shit. I've been doing this for many years. But I still get nervous. I still have things I don't know. We're not going to know everything. I really believe this. If there's somebody out there who says they know it all, they're either lying to you or they are lying to themselves. Because nobody who is a human in this physical life knows all of the answers. It's just not feasible. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. If you're on a spiritual awakening journey, don't be hard on yourself. If there's something that you are still emotionally triggered by, you're fucking human. I've dealt with this. With this fucking podcast. I've been like, well, it has to be perfect. It has to be like it has to be perfect. It has to be the right angle. It has to be the right setup. It has to be the right type of microphone. It has to be like the right topics. It can't be, that's so much pressure. And that's also it's also like self-sabotage, because I can be very hard on myself. That's a thing, right? We are our own worst enemies. When you look at yourself in the mirror, there's been times, I see you, there's been times that you've been mean to yourself, right? I know I've fucking been there. I've been there. There's been times I've been mean to myself in the mirror a lot. Thankfully, not as much lately as in the past. But that type of stuff is going to happen. And just because you're a spiritual individual doesn't mean that you are a perfect individual. Because what is perfect? I would say humans are perfectly imperfect. And that's what makes being a human so divine, so sought after. I feel like this is like, this could be a topic. This could be maybe a controversial topic. But I think that humans are, being incarnating as a human is a sought after thing. And I think it has a lot to do with our emotions. Our range of emotions is cray-cray. We can go from the highest high to the lowest low. We can be so happy and then so sad or so angry at the drop of a dime. We can be fueled to do things from our emotions. We can be so angry that we act out in anger. Or we can feel so much love that we act out in love. And I think that's what makes humanity so special. And I think that other beings know that. I think that other beings see that, because those other beings, whether you consider them to be gods or angels or demons or aliens, whatever label you want to put on them, the other beings outside of this world. My cat wants to say hello. No, not right now. They maybe, have they transcended beyond emotions in the sense that we experience it? Like, it was fun being a teenager, right? Because you didn't know all of the dangers of the world. And so you did shit that you wouldn't do now because you weren't even thinking about the dangers of things. You weren't thinking about things because you didn't have as much experience, right? You didn't have as much experience. And so it was a funner thing. It was a funner experience. And so I think about that, but applying that same type of thought to being a human, because I think that we have a lot of divine brothers and sisters out there, and they might be older siblings that have been around the block a few times. But humans, I think, are more newer. And this would have also been talked about in like ancient texts, right? Like what comes to mind is the Anunnaki, the Anunna gods. And then there was a younger race of gods. The Anunna was the ancient pantheon of gods. I love theology. That's why I chose AnunnaMelody. Melody is my name. Anunna, that's where it comes from, okay? Because I love theology. And so the Anunna is an older set of gods. And then the Igigi, if I'm saying that right, is a younger set of gods. And then the humans were made to help the Igigi, right? So humans in that sense would be like younger brothers and sisters, younger offspring, right? A younger creation. And like in a Christian sense, right? Humans were made by God. So even still, we're younger than the angels that help God. We're younger. So even in that sense. So our emotions aren't as in control. That's seen in this world, in society. Look at human civilization. We are chaotic. But that's what makes being human so interesting, I think. Especially during these changing times, these chaotic times. It's an interesting time to be alive. Would you disagree? It's hard, but also being a human is hard because there's a lot of things to learn, and that's another thought. A lot of spiritual. That's another good thought we could flow to in this Let It Flow segment. In the spiritual communities, people will say that humanity is going through a awakening. I would agree with that. Humanity is going through an awakening. We're transforming. We're realizing things. And humans are being prepared for something else. More, a change. But it's also like a school, right? Incarnating on Earth as a human, or shit. Maybe incarnating on Earth as an animal. Any type of physical form here on Earth. But I would say especially humans. A wide range of emotions, right? But imagine you being a cat. Incarnating as a cat. There would be specific things that you would learn as a soul incarnating as a cat. And then if you incarnated as like a spider, there would be specific things you would learn. And then incarnating as a human in wherever you might be, depending upon where you are and the specifics of your upbringing, you would learn specific things. And so in a lot of the spiritual communities, people see humanity and Earth as like a school for souls, which I think in my mind it can be tied to how in ancient cultures the beliefs would seem to say that like humans were a younger race of beings. So but we're still creator beings. Because no matter if you believe in God or gods, we were created, right? Now, if you believe that we weren't created and you were more in the evolution side of things, that's cool and everything. I'm just curious on why you're here. But I personally think that humanity was created. It was orchestrated. But we were created. And so we are creator beings. Let's just play on the evolution side of things, right? The universe stemming from the Big Bang. The universe, we came from that initial spark. So we are stardust. We are that spark of creation. We are creation. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I like where that went. I think that's where we're going to leave that segment, let it flow. I think it needs to stay there. That was freaking awesome. Okay. And then I thought another segment that I could have in this podcast is Ask Melody, where you can ask me some spiritual questions about, I've done psychic readings since like 2015. I do spiritual guidance sessions. I know a lot about tarot cards, oracle cards, different types of divination. I have a divination board right in front of me. I know a lot about spiritual cleansings and witchy things, and like just like whatever question you might have that you would like my take on, let me know. But for now, I'm going to take the question of energy clearing. What's my opinion on one of the best ways to do an energy clearing, to clear your energy? Be your chakras, your aura, just your emotional energy, just kind of like a little bit of a energetic reset. Some of the common ones would be obviously burning sage or burning Palo Santo, but I think one that's even easier, but also that like so much more accessible, because you don't really need nothing. If you get into the shower, imagine the water flowing over you, cleansing away all of the stagnant energy, all of the shit that need not be there. Because then you're activating the physical aspect of the water, and it's a calming thing being in the water, cleaning the dirt of the day away or whatever. It feels refreshing. So in a physical sense, you're getting refreshed. But then emotionally and spiritually, if you recognize the water as a cleansing thing, water can cleanse you. Water can release stagnant energy, let it flow over you, and let all of the negativities flow down the drain away to be transmuted. Because even though it's going in pipes and stuff, it's still going in the earth. That's one that I do quite regularly, and I think it's very helpful. I think that would be the easiest. Because you can also do that throughout the day when you're washing your hands, or if you splash water on your face. Utilize water. Water is very powerful. It can create energy. Water is so powerful. We are made up of water. There's a reason why a lot of the ancient pantheons have water gods, and why the Christian religion, they baptize in water. Water has a lot of power. There's a lot of energy in water, and you can use that. You can tap into it. You can utilize it for cleansing, like a little reset throughout the day. So if you have any questions that you would like my take on, leave it in the comment section. So I am excited about where this podcast might go, because like I said, I'm really not sure. It's still in the works. But right now I know I have the desire to do it because I want to connect with people like-minded. I want to face my fears, and I realized that was a huge one because I realized that I was nervous. It's like I've been through a lot of heavy shit through the decade of my 30s. I'm 40. Okay, just turned 40 this year. Through the decade of my 30s, I've been through a lot. I exited a very toxic, heavy past relationship. I chose to move beyond that. I chose to move beyond that. That was hard, but I fucking did it because I recognized I deserved more. And I was choosing to give myself more, even though I knew it was going to be hard. So I did a lot of energy cleansing, releasing of baggage, transmuting, chain breaking, ancestral chains, stopping toxic threads, severing them, shadow work, tower moments, phoenix rising from the ashes. Do you resonate? Have you been there too? This has also been a time of great change for a lot of different people. And this time of humanity, we're going through great changes globally. There's a lot of things. But I believe it's for the good. Maybe it's naive of me, but I feel like it's for the good ultimately, but that's just going to be quite messy for a while, because change usually is messy. Transmutation, it's not an easy process. But as that is happening globally, it's affecting us individually. There are those out there that's just repeating the same program. Let them do them. You focus on doing you. So that's why I say a lot of us have been going through our own personal dark nights of the soul transmutation journeys. So I know I have. But I'm looking forward to seeing where this crazy ass life leads. And that's one thing I thought that shit, I might as well start a podcast. 'Tis the thing nowadays, right? But to push my comfort zones, to utilize this platform to face my fears and teach myself that I am safe to be authentically me. I don't have to try to be somebody that I'm not. I don't have to try to be perfect. I am perfectly imperfect, as we all are here in this journey. We're all learning. Don't nobody know it all. If anybody says they know all of the answers, they're either lying to you or they're lying to themselves, because if they're human, you don't know everything. It's just, that's what makes existence so beautiful. In my opinion, that's what makes the journey of life so interesting, because there is always more to learn. Imagine if you knew everything. That would be boring. That would be highly boring. So, for now, I think I'm going to keep this as a shorter podcast until I get a little bit more comfortable with this. So I have been through it. That was surprising, because I just do a lot of videos and I would talk about a lot of crazy ass things, like spiritual stuff, usually mostly, and paranormal, dreams, stuff like that. And I'm still into those things, but I went back to basics. I went within. I had to kind of pull back. But now that I'm trying to go out and do the things again, and I guess push my comfort zones, because I had to deal with a lot of shit, right? I had to break those chains. I had to deal with that baggage. But now that I'm trying to, I suppose, get on, I wanted to say get back on the right track, but that would mean that I was off track. And I don't think I was off track. I was just dealing with stuff that was on the track. I was clearing the track. Perfect. perfect. Okay, so like there's the path, but then there's like maybe a fallen over tree, and then you have to clean that. You have to move that, or figure out how to go around it. But then if it's just, it'd be better to clear it, right? And so then you have to get the momentum going again. So now I'm trying to get the momentum going back again, but it's going to look different this time. And I'm still figuring out what that looks like. That's why it's like this, my channel, it's been I'm just all over the place, but that's okay because I want to show up authentically as possible. And I want to not be perfect. I want to leave in the moments when I'm stumbling on my words, or when I just completely get lost track and forget what I was saying, because like my mind can be rattle-brained, and that's one thing I'll refer to it as rattle-brained, because it's just like a bouncy ball in a room from one topic to the next, and then it just sometimes gets a lot. If you've did a phone session with me before, you'll probably know, because there may have been a time when I was into one topic and then the next, bouncing all over the place. But I try to keep it on focus. I try my best to keep it on focus, but I also try to let it flow. I try to let it flow. And that was one thing that I want the main point of this podcast to be. It's just me letting it flow. And then allowing those who resonate with it to find me. So, if you enjoyed this podcast, thank you for watching. Don't forget to check me out on my other social medias. Don't forget to check me out on my other social medias. Let me know if you have any questions, things that you wanted to include in the Ask Melody segment. Just fucking thank you for watching all the way through, even though I know that it's just all over the place. But that's okay, because we're perfectly imperfect. One thing I'm trying to teach myself is I am safe to show up authentically. I am safe to be me. I am safe. I'm safe to feel calm. I'm safe to feel confident. I am safe. There's been a lot of times when I didn't feel that. Just like in my own physicality, I guess. Self-consciousness. Maybe reflect on that for you. Do you feel safe to just be you in life? Sometimes, it feels like no, right? But I'm just trying to remind myself it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day.